It's so weird being on anything without anything prepared. It's unnatural for me.
What? This is a
Yeah.
totally off the cuff kind of thing. And
Uh,
apparently my lips aren't moving right now. So let's fix that. There we go.
oh
Hey.
yeah.
So yeah, this is a totally off the cuff. I'm having a conversation with Houston Pierce. You know that name,
Uh,
Houston Pierce? It sounds like a president.
does it?
Well, there was a president named Pierce. Did you know
D- I'm gonna show my ignorance, and I'm gonna say no.
that?
Why bother lying about it? Like, because like it's such a dumb thing.
I
You
think it
don't
was
know this.
Franklin Pierce was the president. I believe his name was Franklin Pierce. He is probably back in the like the 20s or 1910, something like that, turn of the century president, I believe.
Franklin Pierce.
I could look it up, but I'm not going to.
Yep. Same. I don't look it up.
I don't really care
Frank-
that much, but no, Houston. It sounds like a presidential kind of name, right? Don't you think?
I mean, I guess so. I mean,
You
I'm
didn't
gonna.
think of it that way?
I never thought of it that way until you said it just now.
Well, I think there's the big future in that name. If you ask me.
All right, cool. I'll
So,
keep with it.
so Houston is does a show called A Thousand Crazy Questions, which I had the pleasure of doing not too long ago, and yeah, some of those questions were kind of crazy. Um, so why? What
Hmm.
brought you to do something called A Thousand Crazy Questions?
Yeah, I am insane and I am bored. And when you put those two things together, you get a podcast about asking strangers random questions that come into your head. I don't know. I mean, that's partly true. Back in 2020, COVID, everyone's in their houses, apartments, whatever, and the idea to get a podcast um, about my would you rather list kind of came forth, and I got the list because I was bugging friends at work too much and like, what are you doing? What are you doing with all these questions, man? Why don't you write these down? Why don't you do something with them? I said, okay, I will. I started writing it down. Got to
Why don't you ask
100.
somebody else
Just
instead
yeah,
of us?
I really was bugging him, honestly. It's just, and once the podcast kind of started, I had one or two episodes under my belt. I was like, I didn't ask him as much in life, so it literally
Oh.
became a sick outlet for me.
Oh, okay. Well, no, that's fair.
Yeah,
Fair enough. That's a good though. Um, so basically, you
yeah,
were kind of stuck on this, and everybody said, "Go away, kid. Why don't you ask the internet?"
yeah, pretty much. In a weird way, it kind of turned out all right. The name I wasn't that crazy, no pun intended, about. Uh, I just didn't want it to be would you I think I started off with like would you rather, but there were a bunch of
Mhm.
those already exist, you know?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a game called Would You Rather. I think. Yeah.
yeah, and a movie. A terrible movie, but
Oh, I
a
didn't see
movie, yeah.
that.
Yeah, it's not worth it. But yeah, so I didn't want to compete with that, even though I like those. That's what the thing's about. But
Hmm.
um I wanted to kind of okay, I won't just ask would you rather questions. I'll throw other ones in there. I'll expand it out to just questions and yep, yep.
Oh, so then whenever you started, so before you were just basically coming up with questions and asking people at the moment, right? Is that what I'm getting from you?
More or
And
less,
then
yeah.
when did you start writing the questions down as part of, preparation for asking people on the internet?
Um, I think it was right before. I was like right before lockdown stuff happened. I think it was in near 2019, and I just had them on my computer for a while, just collecting dust, technically doing nothing, and yeah, it was it. When, I don't know how many people can relate to this. Maybe you can, but you start doing something, you're like, I'm pretty good at this, like, or this is
Hmm.
this is weird. Like, it's not a skill, and at least I don't think it is. But when I started writing them down, I couldn't stop. I had 100 within like the first like hour or two. I wasn't singing it for I think a straight 2 hours, but with how easily they started coming, I was like, okay, well, I gotta save this, and then one thing led to another. Honestly, it, that's it. That's it. It was a weird skill that I found out I had. Stuck with it.
So would you ever bump it to like 10,000 crazy questions?
Whew, that season like 20 or something. I don't know. I don't know about that. I have a question for you though, if you don't
Uh-huh.
mind.
I don't mind.
And
This is a conversation.
all right, cool. What made you pick the cat as the conduit of conversation for static radio?
Oh well, the cat actually it has only been part of this universe since about 2017,
Okay.
and I've been recording though for a lot longer than that. So there was nothing prior to that. There's a gentleman named Scott Baker who a long time ago was listening, and he said, "I wish this show was animated." And for years, I was like, "How can I animate the show?" And I couldn't do it. And then finally, in 2017, I figured out a way to do that, which is what you're seeing. And I did the show animated with my co-host Miles for about a year, and it was really difficult, and and so I quit. And then a couple of years went by, and I guess just maybe a little more than a year ago now, I picked it back up for these kind of things because now this is a live interpretation of me talking, right? So when my head moves, and my eyes move, my eyebrows move, right? And at the time, whenever we were doing it, Miles, who usually is my co-host, he doesn't have all the equipment, and so I had to animate it after we recorded, and that's much more difficult to do. I mean, it takes a lot more time and a lot more effort. Whereas this right now is pretty easy, and so I'm using this is the easy way to do it, is to be live like this. Oddly enough, so I just use it for this, and this is become a persona for the internet. So, but we've been recording for a really long time, and it's mostly been voice until recently. So, just started doing more video stuff over the last 4 or 5 years. So. But
Man, no, that's awesome, man.
That's where the cat. And the only reason it's a cat is because it was an easy character. So,
Why not? I'm just curious. Like, was there like a dog option? Giraffe, elephant.
Miles is a snowman. If you watch the old
That's
videos, he's
yeah,
a
yeah,
snowman. I'm the cat, and I think there was a couple others that were kind of easy to grab characters.
yeah.
But I like the cat, so I'm like, out of the ones available, I'm like, yeah, I'll do this one.
It spoke to you.
There's no deep connection to it or anything. I wish I could tell you a backstory. Well, I remember.
Yeah, I was like,
I got really drunk and I woke up in an alley with a blue cat on me, and I thought, oh wow, that's my persona.
I was thinking more of like, oh, when I was 6, I had
even further back.
I had a cat named Tabby, and my parents gave up Tabby, and I don't know, something.
No, it's basically laziness, which is kind of my motto. If you can do it quicker and easier, let's just do that. So, hence this conversation with no show prep at all.
Laziness. I give credit to laziness. I'd say lazy. What's that phrase? Innovation is the mother of invention. Is that the saying?
I think they say necessity is the mother of invention.
Thank you. Necessity is the mother of invention. Laziness is the father.
Because yeah. I would go for that.
You need it. I mean, like, was the washing machine a lazy invention? It's like people were washing clothes before then. It was.
Oh yeah,
You can,
how do you
yeah,
have a rock?
yeah,
Rub your clothes on a rock or
yeah.
something.
You need to wash your clothes.
Washboard.
And it was
Yeah,
happening. Washboard filled the need.
yeah.
That's you invented the washboard. Why try again? Well, the father of
Hmm.
invention has to step in and go, but can't we make it easier?
Right. Is
You
there
know,
any
like,
way
yeah,
I can just throw it in there and hit a button and walk away? Yeah,
it's
exactly.
yeah, no, don't
Yeah,
people sleep on
because
laziness. Yeah.
in the not too distant future, all podcasts are going to be AI, and it'll just be two AIs talking to each other, and one will be the wiser.
You know what? I got to on the AI thing. I let AI edit one of my episodes because like
Hmm.
the podcasting thingy I use that hosts all my stuff. They have this thing where like, oh, we'll let AI take it. I know it's
Hmm.
pretty much some offshoot of ChatGPT that they bought out, but I said, oh, I'll try it anyway. I put my episode in and say like this, if it can save me, like an hour and so of some editing, let's see how this goes. Put it
Hmm.
in. It got rid of a lot of like the dead space and a lot of other things, but it doesn't have the ear for like what may need to be cut in terms of like a or or if something said weird, like it doesn't have any comedic timing at all. Still doesn't know. We're
Right.
pretty far. Like it just like some things you cut and you add, it makes it sound funny or makes it sound
Hmm.
sharper or. But
Yeah, or you put
yeah,
an extra pause in there, and just
yeah,
for fun. No, I
yeah,
love
yeah.
the ums and uhs. I think that's what makes it real with my dramatic pause there.
I
Without a
yeah.
lot of those things, then it doesn't sound as natural. You're going to be, hey everybody, we're here, we're talking to Houston Pierce. Houston Pierce in the morning. What are you doing, Houston? It just
Oh,
sounds so fake.
yeah. True. I mean, especially when you put it in the nose like that, though. Like, well, if you put it up here, like, that's
That
oh man,
was my
that's
DJ voice.
that's like a radio DJ. That's a
Uh-huh.
D. But no, I leave. I'll admit on this podcast, I leave like half the ands and ums, and I cut maybe the other half off. I mean, I don't know. I try to make everyone sound smarter. Like if someone's like, "What do you think about
Mm,
this?" And they go, "Hmm," and they're thinking
mm.
of life. If I cut that in half, they go, "Sandwiches would make the
Oh,
best ship," and everyone's like, "Oh, that was really profound. He came up with that really fast." In
real
reality,
fast.
yeah, like this man took 10 minutes to think of that, but like, I mean,
That's
I'm
terrible.
helping my guest out, and I help myself out
Oh
the same
man,
way.
I think maybe you should put like whenever they do that, put like the sound of a clock ticking.
That's too much work. That's
Yeah,
way
we'll
too much.
see you there. Get the AI to do it.
That's true. If they
Um,
can do it, then yeah,
but it
yeah,
can't. It's not quite there yet.
it's not there. Oh,
Well, maybe there is probably one that's quite there, but it's not available to you and I.
yeah. But I gotta say that also, I let it transcribe my episode too to give me like a description, and not
Hmm.
only did it give me like a detailed description, but gave me like 2 pages worth of description. It was so overly descriptive. Like it broke down everything we talked about, including how AI was taking over the world, because that happened to be something we touched on in
Oh,
the
we were talking
episode.
about that.
And then it starts it's talking about itself for a second, and then it goes and it was like this is way too much. I was like, okay, I put it down. I'll just stick to editing and descripting myself. It doesn't know. It just
It
doesn't know.
doesn't get it. Mm-mm.
Yeah,
Context.
people. Yeah, someone's not going to read a book to find out what the podcast is about. Like this is,
Well, the funny thing you
you
say
know.
that, but I noticed that Apple just sent out an announcement within the last few weeks that they're automatically going to transcribe all the podcasts on the Apple podcast
Oh
store
yeah,
or
I
whatever.
got that too. I heard that
Uh-huh.
too. Yeah,
And
yeah.
so, but I'm like, uh-oh, that sounds like bad news to me, because now, it's one thing to say something kooky in audio where you got to find it, and it's a little easier to find in text because you can search text a lot easier. You can just type in, Bob Lament, says something
True.
stupid, and then there it is, right? Whereas if you did it on audio, it
Yeah,
takes you a lot longer to find it. So
yeah. No, I hear
maybe
you, but
better
yeah,
watch out, because it's gonna catch you. That's what's
just
gonna happen. It's gonna get
just
you.
just say things fast, and it won't catch up. If I really spoke like this is how I spoke every time, like, hey, how you doing, Bob? I'm doing really good. Like, I'm really excited. Like, it's not going to catch that. And I speak from experience. I've tried to use transcribing to be lazy, to be like, yeah, how'd this sound? But
Mhm.
then I hear it back, and I go back like, no, that's not what that word says. That word's actually important. I have to go in and then retype the
It's
word in myself. And this is for like a minute clip, and like it
mhm.
almost consistently it'll transcribe it wrong. I have my faith in AI at this moment in time is pretty low.
The interesting
Yeah.
thing is that I think it'll help slang. So I think there's going to be more inventive slang coming up than there has been in the past because people are going to not want to have their words transcribed, and the more kind of esoteric the words are, the less it'll be able to do that because it won't know. So everybody's going to talk like Snoop Dogg, and do the whole for shizzle kind of business. Remember he did that whole
Yeah.
thing?
Yeah,
There
yeah.
you go.
Everyone's gonna add schnizzle and izzle and
Snizzle and izzle and
whatever
everything.
to everything. It's gonna
But
be
it'll
the
be I think it's gonna
world right there.
we're gonna see a kind of that kind of thing kind of speed up and be more,
I don't.
because the hardest thing for the AI to keep up with is the language and how it changes. So I think it has to change faster in order to be ahead of
Yeah.
where the AI is. Maybe.
God, I hope people don't push that because I'll be just annoyed. Have you seen A Clockwork Orange?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
hi
that
hi
that
hi there.
yeah. Oh man, that's what I'm thinking of when you're saying like the slang, because the slang in that movie is hats off to I can't remember the author of that book right now, but it's very it, it's very good in that
Hmm.
they repeat the same phrases. You by the end of the movie, you kind of understand what they're saying, and
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's the fact that that's the youth, like that's the culture. It's like, is this what old people hear when we talk? Is this how annoying it
Oh.
is? Like
Oh, I'm sure.
was that's this
I'm
that's
positive they don't
that's
understand. They're like,
that's unbearable. Like all
oh,
the you want to get in, get out. What?
hello,
What are you
love.
saying?
How about
Like,
a little time for the old in out and out?
man, like
The I
what?
think a
And then
lot of that
yeah.
was pulled from Cockney rhyming slang, which is a whole other thing over there in Britain. If you've ever heard any of that, they use different words for the so boat race is nice face and all kinds of weird stuff like that.
That's weird. I don't get it.
Anthony Burgess is the writer. I just remembered that.
Okay. Yeah, hats off to
I didn't
you.
look it up. I swear to God, you didn't see me look anything up. See,
I mean, you're not showing your hands right now, either of them.
I
So
know.
I don't know.
I got
I
to
don't
work
know.
on that. I got to work on the hands still.
I don't know if I trust your hands are down here below the
Below
desk.
the desk.
Like I don't know what the
Let's
heck
see.
you're doing.
Can I?
It,
I
it's just
can't get.
it's more
I can't
torso.
get up high enough to do it
it's,
there.
it's just more torso.
It's just more torso.
Do
Exactly.
they even animate legs for him? I don't. That's I was just like I wonder. It's
Currently,
probably.
no. I can, but it's more work, and I'm lazy. So
Hey, yeah, no, I understand. I
uh,
understand.
right now, it's just the face. So how many people have you asked crazy questions to at this point? Now, you asked me more than one crazy question. So, how many crazy questions do you do per episode, you think?
Um, I don't know. I don't. On average, it has been about 6 to 7,
Six?
maybe six. On average, it's six, and then some people get to seven, and some people, uh, one person was like 3 or 4.
Oh, really? They took so
Yeah,
long that there's only 3 or 4 questions. Huh?
yeah, like we get stuck on a topic where like there's like an argument or it's
An argument.
it's too, I don't well entertaining argument. Otherwise, I
Oh,
wouldn't
okay.
release it. but
Oh no, I think it would be
but yeah,
funny to have them realize, like, people are go, why would you ask me that, and then get all mad at you. I don't know
yeah.
why I even said I'd come on here.
Oof. Yeah, luckily that hasn't happened. I'm like,
Has
well,
anybody
you
just
agreed.
like shut
Yeah.
down on you? That no, I'm out of here.
No, no. But I
No.
mean, well, no. But when I was starting off, when like I was just starting off with friends and everything, two of my closest friends were on the podcast, and that's before I had my name. Was before I had anything. It was just maybe
Mhm.
like episode 2 or 3. It was very early, and I asked them a bunch of crazy questions. They called me afterwards and said, "Hey, I don't know how I feel about this one. I have like this thing that I'm doing. It might affect this other thing I'm doing."
Mhm.
I'm like, "Oh, okay, okay. That's very good feedback." So he said, "Well, we're willing to do it again. We just want to know if we can maybe take that out, whatever." I said, "Okay, yeah, hold on. I'll do it again, and this time I'll ask you guys a whole different set of questions that are not
Mhm.
on this topic." And
Yeah.
so it was kind of a learning curve, and I learned like, okay, so I'm gonna tailor it, A, to who I'm talking to, and B, I'm going to I'm gonna cut off some of these maybe darker and inappropriate ones that
Well, I
that
think
if
I
it
had an
gets
inappropriate question. Come on. I
well,
answered it.
there was a day. Well, I don't know about yours, man. Yours, yours, you can handle it.
I
You know,
answered whatever you asked me. I didn't even say anything. I'm like, yeah, I'll answer whatever.
No, that's why I now send a list of preliminary questions to people, because it was kind of like, okay, I had to stay within bounds, and I have to even since I
Oh,
have no topic,
that's
I have
no
to make
fun.
self-imposed boundaries. And there's actually a whole section of my list that I do not use that is straight up collecting dust.
Hmm.
And maybe episode, season 200, when I'm at 10,000 crazy questions, I will
Yeah.
explore that part of the list. But it's essentially questions against humanity. I don't ask anyone them. The only people who know about them are my close friends and family who have like read them and been
You'll
like,
ask
"What
them,
is wrong with you?"
hey, mom,
No,
let me ask you this
no,
question.
oof, no, no, no.
Oh my gosh.
Never going there. I mean,
Now I feel like I should have turned down one of your questions whenever I did that. Hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't have. In the episode, it would have been pretty funny. Like, I'm not answering this. Uh, Bob, rule
The
number
thousand
one.
angry answers. Maybe that's your next piece there.
1,000 angry. I like that. That's a good spinoff. 1,000. That's a good spinoff. A
So
thousand.
that's interesting. So because I'm kind of I guess I won't say I'm more open necessarily, but I didn't. I'm like, yeah, I'll answer whatever you got, because that to me that's the concept. When I saw it, I was like, the idea is basically you're going to ask me something that may or may not, in polite public in our polite public lives we would never ask, right? That's the whole idea. So I figure I have to indulge that and answer it. So that was my on my side of things. I'm like, yeah, I have to go with it because that's the concept. Because I mean, it's not like you named your show, polite people talking respectfully.
As much as amazing as that show sounds.
I mean, it's not like you don't know what you're getting into.
Polite people talking respectfully.
I,
uh, I'm
I
trying to
was
think
worried
of
that
the
I'd actually
show.
have to answer 1,000 questions. That was my only fear. Was like, how long is this going to take?
No, no. If anything, I really try to keep my eye on the time too. Just because I know what type of podcast I typically like, and
Hmm.
I'll list. There are the occasional 1 hour plus, but that's if if that's every episode, I'm like, I'm out of here. I can't do it.
Too long. So
I'm gonna
what's the
call out.
sweet spot? What's the sweet spot?
30 minutes to an hour. To an hour, if because like it's good. Maybe like
Oh.
40. I think 45 minutes or 50 minutes.
Mhm.
Yeah, because 15 minutes, if you're driving, if you drive somewhere that's 15 minutes away, that's a long drive. If you
Mhm.
drive somewhere that's 25, then 25 back, you complete the episode. You can wash dishes and vacuum in 25 minutes. 20, you can go to
Right.
sleep. Like it's I don't know. I
Oh,
think
interesting.
like
I never thought about it like that.
50
Okay.
minutes, like a little bit under an hour, I'd say is like the sweet spot. I'd say, yeah. And the longest episode I ever had was like an hour and 25, I think.
So the interesting thing is,
Yeah.
television. So a half-hour sitcom is a half hour with advertising, but without advertising, I think it's 22 minutes.
Yeah.
And an hour show with advertising is only like 42 or 43 minutes. So those are the sweet spots. Maybe they did some studying way back when, and that's how they come up with that.
Yeah, they
The
just asked people like, when do you get bored? And a bunch of people like me were
when do you get bored? I
a
know,
bunch of
but
people
you
like
watch
me
a
were like,
movie and it's 2 hours. But I guess the difference is the economics of it. The movie has a different budgeting situation, so they can bring you more of whatever, as opposed to television or radio or anything like that. So that's interesting.
yeah.
I never really thought about it too much.
Yeah, and
I
even movies can overstay their welcome, by the way. Let's put
Oh,
that
I
out
know.
there.
Everything's
Like
too long. If you ask me, I always say that movie's too long. Every movie I watch,
yeah,
I'm like, yeah, too long. They could have cut about 15 minutes out of that.
they're getting longer. They're getting I
I
love
know.
movies, but
Well,
they're
the
getting
thing is,
longer.
that's these auteurs. Christopher Nolan makes Oppenheimer 3 hours long or whatever. And by the way, it was his worst movie, I would say.
whoa, really? I
Of
don't
a lot of
know.
those his movies, yes, this is that one. I mean, it was a good movie, but
Hmm.
it's not as great as everybody keeps saying. I
Well,
mean,
I want to get caught up in movie world because I know I can, but there's this critic I watch who's like, "Oh, this is his everything he did was building up to this. You know, this is his
mm,
movie, this is his showpiece, this is
no,
his magnum opus, so to speak." Like it
right?
is like
Yeah.
he's like championing it as like this is the best movie Christopher Nolan's ever made, and I'm
Mm-mm.
sitting here like it was fine. I didn't.
It was okay.
I'm not watching it again.
It was okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. I'm not watching There's what you just said. I'm not watching it again. If it's a good movie, right? You watch it again,
yeah, yeah.
and you'll want to. You'll be like, yeah, I'll watch that again. And how it doesn't even matter the length of time. In 2 years, in 6 months, right away. If you make the decision in your head to watch it again, that is a good movie.
True. Unless it's a movie that's hard to watch and is good. In that case,
What are you
I wouldn't.
watching?
Well, I mean, there's movies
House of a
that
Thousand Corpses?
well, not something too dissimilar, but if you've heard of Roots, right? Like
Oh
the
yeah,
TV show. Yeah,
I remember that. Yeah,
there's no way I'm watching that again. But like it's
LeVar Burton. That was his
uh,
starring role. I remember. Yeah.
yeah, I'd had to see it when I was a kid, and it was like it's one of the
Alex
must see.
Haley.
Yeah. Well, who's
Hmm.
Alex Haley in the movie again? Sorry, the name
No,
sounds
he
really
was the
familiar.
writer. He's the one who wrote the book.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah, no, the name sounded like I know the name. I
Yeah,
don't know who
and then he
but
also was involved with the TV show. But yeah,
yeah. Great show slash movie or movie.
it
Whatever it
was
was.
for its time. It was very tough. There was
It's really
uh,
tough.
I can't remember the character's name, but it was played by an actor named Chuck Connors, who was LeVar Burton's the owner, right? And he
Mhm.
was a bastard.
I don't even remember that guy, the master,
Really?
the owner. No, because it's
Oh,
been
he was just
years.
horrible. He was the one that was whipping him and stuff. It was just horrible.
Oh,
I
dude,
remember that from when I was a kid. I remember I watched it when I was a kid. So
would you watch it again though? Like there's
would
not
I
like
watch that again?
yeah.
I mean, it was a very powerful show, and I probably have watched it again since then.
All
I
right.
haven't watched it
Well,
recently, but it's older now. So what happens is you get uh, sometimes when movies age, you don't want to watch them because it's just the spectacle is not the same.
that's true. But I don't know, my point was like it's a good movie. I agree, it's a very powerful movie. But I'm not watching it again. It's too because I remember when it like scarred me kind of. It's
Yeah.
in a
Mhm.
weird way. It's like uh being black. It's it's a must watch if you're black movie. It's on that
Mhm.
list. There is a list that we all look at. We all know when when we're born. It's like no, but it's a cultural thing. You have to watch it. I've watched it. I was put to my rite of passage at a young age. I was like, oh wow, that's what slavery is. Because like I was in school. It's a really quick kind of like, yeah, here it was, and I really learned about it through like movies and my family. So
Mhm.
it I there's even though it's important and I had to watch it, I would agree, powerful, greatly made too, greatly acted.
Mhm.
There's no way I'm putting that on. Like, the rewatchability
I
does
don't
not
want to.
equal
I don't
good.
want to watch that again. It was
No, no,
terrible.
no. It's well, it was good, but I'm not rewatching. Like rewatchability is different from
Right.
good.
No, it's not enjoyable, right? So
Yeah,
it was traumatic.
but it was good in a traumatic way. And then there's also any movie that's
Sure.
like that touches on hateful race relations. Like I gotta be
Mhm.
in a mood to go, to be and watch those. Like it,
Oh
even
yeah.
if it's good, it's like no, and I'll leave the movie angry. Like
I,
that was a
I
good
yeah.
movie. But I'm not, again. That's not my taste. I'm not gonna watch it again.
I know exactly what you're saying. There's sometimes I'm like I can't watch any depressing movies, right? So I love to watch movies, but if it's depressing at certain points, I'm like I'm not watching that. I mean, it
Yeah.
may be the best movie ever, but
Yeah, even if it's good, right? I mean,
yeah,
that's what I'm
I'm
trying to
not
say.
watching
Like,
that.
even if it's good, and even if it's good, you're not.
So
Yeah.
just as a counter to your we talk about Oppenheimer. As a counter to that, there's a movie called Hiroshima Mon Amour,
Okay.
and it's about the aftermath of the bomb, and
Oof.
it has archival footage. If you don't want to get depressed, watch that one.
No.
Woo!
No.
I watched it
No way.
for school.
Ooh.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
and there's another worse one called Night and Fog, but don't watch that one either.
No.
And that's about the
Oh man.
concentration camps.
Okay. No. I could barely watch. I actually did not finish Schindler's List. I got.
Really?
Yeah, I think I got three-quarters of the way through, and
Mm-hmm.
I put it on pause to take an emotional break because I was like
Yeah,
this,
this is a tough one,
it,
right?
and then I didn't return. That was my mistake. I should have just kept going, but it was bad. Now looking at it, I'm like, I don't know if I can put myself through that whole three-quarters now because I kind of forgot the whole. Well, a lot of the setup, but I feel like I'd have to
Right.
watch it again from the beginning. I mean, I know what's going on, but to watch a movie from beginning to end is how you're supposed to watch it. So, or at least that's what I
Right.
think. So
Yeah.
it's, yeah,
That's what
no,
they
I don't.
want you to do. Yeah.
Yeah, no. So now I'm just. It might as well be incomplete in my mind. Of I had not seen Schindler's List all the way. It was too much.
Really
I'm,
interesting.
couldn't do it.
Every time anybody talks about Schindler, I just remember Seinfeld where
But they're making
he
out.
was making out in Schindler's List and Newman catches him.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it's kind of yeah. That's all I can. Every time, yeah. I've seen
yeah.
it. I've probably seen it twice, maybe twice. But
Oh,
that is so my I have a film degree, by the way. But
oh,
anyway,
whoa.
um, so I've
Oh,
watched a lot
just
of movies I
drop
didn't want
that
to
in.
watch.
Just drop that in there. Oh yeah. By the way, I have a degree in film. By the way, I went to
um,
school for this, so I know what I'm talking
um,
about.
but yeah, so I had to watch a lot of movies that I maybe wouldn't have picked myself because it was part of the curricula. But and had to write about them, oddly enough. But
Yeah,
anyway,
and that's part of it, right? I mean, you kind of
yeah,
have
that's
to.
part of
Yeah.
that's part of the experience.
Yeah, I took one class where that was the thing where I had to. It was a 4 hour class because you have to watch a movie and then
Mhm.
write about it afterwards. Back in my university, and um, it was a fun class. I mean, when
Oh
any
yeah,
any class where you just go in, they turn off the lights and they say, "Everyone watch this movie." It's a
yeah,
great class.
we're gonna watch this film. Yeah, one of my funnest class was science fiction films, and so we watch every class period. We watch a science fiction film, and then we had to write about it.
Man, that's fun.
But then I also did war movies, and that was probably one of the most depressing classes I've ever taken.
Yeah,
And we watched war movies every class, including the couple that I mentioned there, and they were probably some of the worst. things I've had to watch.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. I wouldn't do it either. Right.
But I
All right.
did. That
Yeah.
was part of the curricula. I'll suffer for my degree.
You did
So
it.
I
Dang
did
it.
it.
Still
Yeah, for what
light.
it's worth. Yeah, there you go. So let's get back to. We really took a side note there for a minute, but let's get back.
Where were we? Were we anywhere? I
We were
don't know.
talking about 1,000 crazy questions. Here, I'll put it back up on the screen just to
Oh.
remind everybody.
Oh yeah,
Um,
that thing.
So, has there been any questions that you wrote down? I mean, you said you kind of had a vault of questions that you haven't asked or wouldn't probably ask, maybe. But have you ever written one down and then gotten rid of it? Don't want
Oh
this one.
yeah. Oh, actually, that's countless ones. Like, there's some I write down like that's stupid. I delete them. Like there's.
So, but I
There's
mean, is there
yeah.
one that you write down that's just like heinous that you're like, I cannot believe this passed my brain?
That's what that whole blocked off, X'd out, not gonna see the light of day part of the list is for. And
Oh, but you
every
keep
now,
it though. I'm saying, is there one that you've
yeah,
never kept?
the one that's so terrible that I never
Yeah, so
kept.
terrible that you're like, it's so out there that you're like, I cannot even admit that this was in existence.
So far, not yet. If it crosses my mind, I was able to focus enough to put it into words
Mm-hmm.
onto that list, and it somehow made its way there, and it was somehow a balanced question, as heinous as it could be.
Uh-huh.
I black it out like the rest, and I leave it alone. And I don't dwell on. I definitely don't answer it. That's for sure. And I don't
Uh-huh.
dwell on why I thought of it or who's gonna see it. I just go, well, it's out of my mind. It's like, do you like Harry Potter, or you've
Oh
seen
yeah.
Harry Potter? Yeah,
Oh
like I
yeah.
think like when Dumbledore is pulling memories out of his head with
Yeah.
his wand or whatever, it's like, and he puts it in the bowl. That's what it
Mm-hmm.
feels like. It's like this is out. I'm not. This is away from me.
Oh,
In
you're done
yeah,
with it.
yeah, and
Yeah.
only like, and then unlike the memory thingy where you actually watch it, like I'm not watching it. Like it's like well, this is out. I'm not thinking about it. I don't even want to admit that I thought of it. It's not gonna see, most likely not gonna see the light of day.
Okay. I'm just curious that because that's one of those things where when that happens, I mean, do you surprise yourself? Were you like, oh my gosh, what the heck?
If I ever have to go to that side and then I look at what I wrote, then yes, I'm like, oh, and then I move my cursor and like I skip. One time, actually, I was on a plane and I was working on the list because I had some, I was doing some time, and
Mm-hmm.
you have free time in the air, and it was something I could do without Wi-Fi, so I was editing it, and then back then that side of the list didn't have anything. It was just it had the questions, but they were just kind of out in the open. And as I was writing, I was like, "This is awful." Oh, but that's good. But that's terrible. I'm writing this down, and then I'm like, "Wait a minute." I look around, like there's people around. Like, and I don't know
Uh-huh.
who can see my screen or not. And I'm like,
Right.
I felt so convicted. Even I bet that no one cared or was looking at my screen, but
Right.
I took the whole sheet and I blacked it out literally so that anyone behind me, if they were reading my screen,
Uh-huh.
couldn't read what I had just written. And
Oh,
and
interesting.
so that's why when I say it's a blacked out part of the list, I mean literally it's blacked out. To read it, I'd have to unblack it or go to the
Oh,
text
okay. So
box individually and
okay.
then see it. So no one can accidentally stumble upon it. And like
Gotcha.
it's a legit blacklist
That's
of
interesting.
questions.
See, I find
Yeah.
that now that the fact that you thought of that, I wouldn't even think of that because then that way you can keep it, but you'll never really stumble upon it because you've made the whole page black letters on a black background.
Yep, yep. And I don't want to think about it. I don't want to look at it. It's really they're effed up. I actually
There's your next there's whenever you get to that, it'll be 1,000 crazy questions redacted.
redacted.
That's what they do.
Yeah,
Whenever you see those CIA documents, they black them out. It's redacted.
true. Yeah. No,
So then you can call it that redacted edition.
I might as well call myself canceled edition if I try that. 1,000 1,000 canceled questions. Like it's not gonna. It's. I already know they're not gonna fly. They're not. They're not gonna fly. And the only time I actually did ask them to someone is when someone's like 2 times. One time it was with some close friends and like, what's really on that? What do you have? They dared me. They were
Mhm.
questioning the like how the validity of my claims of how terrible they were. Like, oh, they couldn't be that bad. And of course, I go through
Uh-huh.
come they go, oh, they're shocked. Well, you asked for it. And the second, and so that was fun because it was they asked for it. It was funny and we laughed. The second time it was for this one guest who I won't name, but I think I did release his episode. It's one of the earlier ones. Great episode, but I asked him some really dark stuff, and he's willing to come back on and do more dark stuff. It's just now that I've
Mm.
sworn it off more or less, I don't know what to. I know the guy can handle it. I
Right.
don't know if my show can. So I
Gotcha.
haven't.
You don't want to go in that direction anymore, huh?
Yeah, as much as I like that guest, I don't know if it's kind of
Well, you do the
yeah.
opposite then. So you do something that's like so squeaky clean that it's funny, you know, to the person who's Houston, I don't. What do you mean? What color rubber ducky do I like to take a bath with?
I get the guy on just to be like just to ask him the fluffiest.
Yeah.
Oh,
I guess pink. So then anyway, yeah.
yeah, I guess.
The
Oh wow, butterflies are a cereal. Would you rather spend all day catching butterflies or eating cereal? Which one?
oh, what kind of cereal? Can I eat the butterflies as a cereal?
Uh, no. Why would we want to do that? They're you release them after you catch them, and it's trick cereal because they're for
It's
kids.
for kids, right? Tricks is for
Yeah,
kids.
and you're not a kid, so you're breaking the law. Isn't that edgy? Isn't that something?
Mm,
Yeah, yeah.
not you, silly rabbit.
We're getting spicy on this.
So
Yeah,
through this process, right? So what have you learned about yourself by doing all these questions?
that's a good question. Um, ooh, what have I learned about myself? I don't know.
Oh, where's the AI editor? I got to cut out that pause.
Oh yeah, yeah. Please do cut that out. Cut out every part that I've taken a drink from the cup. By the way, this look like
No,
that way it
everything
looks like
stays
I'm
in. I'm not
unnatural.
I'm lazy. I don't edit anything.
I gotcha.
So
Yeah.
what have you learned? I mean, there's something that's got to come bubble to the surface, and you have an aha moment. I would imagine.
I I've learned that I like uh I like getting I like changing people's minds. Like yeah, like literally, like when someone goes, "Oh, I choose this," and then I persuade them to go, "Okay, it was actually that," or I didn't think of that." I like those moments when someone
Hmm.
could do that to me or when I do it to them, and I like someone being in pain from my questions, and
Okay.
and I excuse me, I mean mental, like like actual choice distress when someone's like, "I
Right.
don't know,"
Anguish.
like. Yeah, there it is. There's the word when they're like, I really can't think of an answer. When those moments where they're really actually stumped and
Hmm.
like as if the question is real, it's going to happen to them when they go like, I don't know. Why would you do this to me? Like whether it's whether it's like good or bad, honestly, doesn't matter. As long as the anguish is there with like the literal dread of if I pick this, I lose this. And that's it's hard to get but it happens and I think every time it does, I'm like, it's a feeling of accomplishment. Like I did that. like
You
I
got
found it.
somebody to freeze up on a simple question.
Yeah, and like in the end of the day, like this isn't going to happen to you. Whatever. This is all hypothetical.
Hmm.
But the fact that
Interesting.
yeah, it's always funny and it's a sense of accomplishment that I was able to get a good balanced question in there. Yeah,
So
yeah,
then, do you think your questions give you insight into the people that you talk to?
most definitely, most definitely.
There's an example in that in the way you said that. You have
Yeah.
something. You thought of something immediately when you answered that question,
Well, yeah,
and I don't know if you're willing to share it, but
it's
maybe not.
it's it's PG enough. It's not even
I
a
don't care.
story.
It doesn't matter if it's PG.
It's more of it's more of
You
an
asked me
example.
questions about baby dick or something.
It wa- well, it was yours. It wasn't a random baby's. It was yours. So that
Right? Yeah. What is it? Yeah. It's my small baby-sized penis or something.
we can
You
move
asked
away
me
from.
that, so yeah. Come on.
We
Let's
can
hear
move
it.
away from. We don't want to think about cat penises. We can move on from that. No, my story is it's way different from that. It's not even a story. Um, I think an example I use when I meet someone in life and we talk about being on the pod. They talk about being on my podcast or whatever, or they want an example. Is I'll go. Would you rather never eat sugar again or never eat salt again? And this is
Mm-hmm.
like a test question I give them to see how they're going to answer. And then some people
Mm-hmm.
say salt because sugar is bad for you. Or no, wait, like they rather eat salt and not give up sugar because sugar is bad for them and they would help
Mm-hmm.
them with their diet. And some people go, oh, I pick sugar because I like to live life and I don't care about like my diet. I like having fun. I like enjoying the moment. And
Mm-hmm.
that's their answer. And that tiny, seemingly inconsequential question tells me how this person views health and how this person views life. And that small little nugget of information starts to mine at how like it crafts out who they are. It
Mm-hmm.
and each question is kind of like that. Some are bigger than others, but even the small ones that people it's so easy. Like even the fly versus invisibility one that everyone asks because
Mm-hmm.
that one's played out. Would you rather fly or be invisible? That one.
Right.
Um, that one.
I
It's
like the
like
voice. Would you rather
because
fly? Okay.
like it's a grade school question, but you know if person picks fly because yeah, that's an awesome one. They don't care
Mm-hmm.
about being seen. They're more extroverted and they are more of a like that doesn't mean they're show offy, but they're not afraid to be themselves or
Mm-hmm.
and they most likely like to help people or like being seen or don't mind being seen. If someone picks invisibility, they could be a creep, but it also means that they are the more so introverted or they don't want to be seen. And it's just simple things that and then over the course of six or so questions it adds up and by the end of it the audience has more of an opinion on you. I have more of an opinion on you. Everyone's like, this is the type of person we're working with, depending on the answer to the questions, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's it. It's
Interesting. Yeah. So I guess you can't like I you do get a little bit of insight
oh
into
oh,
people.
and sometimes you hit the jackpot. Sometimes you hit the
Mm.
jackpot with a question. Sometimes you go, would you rather, I don't know, have to go to a trip to New York with your mother or win a marathon or whatever, something like that. And then they go,
Mm-hmm.
oh, and then they look at you. This is rare too, but they'll look at you. Actually, I never when I was 6, I had to run a marathon with my uncle. And and then you hit something and then they start explaining their life story about how they feel about marathons and it just opens up a door of personality things that you wouldn't have never guessed. And it always comes from the most random of questions. You never know which one's going to be that jackpot one, but it's happened uh, multiple times, and I love it when that happens because it's great content. It's great. It's great for the guest. It's great. I
Mm-hmm.
love hearing their stories, and yeah. There's those golden jackpot ones too. That I have to mention that. Yeah.
Oh, interesting. So then, the question becomes a trigger, and
Yeah.
it triggers some type of a memory or experience, kind of like we had a whole conversation on depressing movies there, and it was a trigger, right?
It,
Because
it
you're
was
like,
a
oh, I don't
trigger.
want to watch that again. So that's
Yep.
interesting. That's
Yep. And
fascinating.
yep.
So what do you think? Are you Do you have an end game for your thing? I mean, when you get to 1,000, is that it, or are you going to do something else, or where do you see this going? Like in the next 5 years, let's say.
Hmm. I do have a bit of a plan. Uh, I do have a bit of an in-game plan. Um, I don't know if my audio podcast will end in 5 or so years. I'm not too sure about that, but I know, if it passes up 5 or it gets, you know, Rogan level, who knows? If it, keeps growing, gets bigger,
Hmm.
I and this would be something, and I almost don't even want to say it because people. I don't know if this will come back to me. You don't want to say things sometimes in the hopes that
Right.
but I'll say it because
Superstitious.
I don't care, but I'll say it because I'm not superstitious. Whatever to that. It'd be cool to have
You're
1,000.
mildly superstitious because you hesitated, but
I
okay.
you called me out for that. That's true. But I'm passive. But I'm not superstitious enough to not do it, not to say it. So I always say, welcome to 1,000 Crazy Questions, the podcast. One day I would like to say, welcome to 1,000 Crazy Questions, the show. And to have
Oh.
like an actual, who knows, like what, I don't know how it will be live action, but some type of live gamified version of my
Hmm.
show. And I think I would love that. Whether if it's me hosting or me directing, I don't know. I
Hmm.
mean, I would have to take some acting classes, I assume, or and maybe there's
Why?
someone better suited to host. I don't know. I don't know. I think it's the product that's important, and the fact that I'm the creator is important to me. But if there's a better host who can host better, bring him in. Bring he or
They'll
she
just
in.
be like 1,000 crazy questions while you eat hot wings. That's what that's what the establishment does to things. That Hot One show is really good. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna take Houston's idea and stick it into the Hot Wings format.
Oh God, don't you understand that the Would You Rather's is the format, not the wings. I
That's
know.
right.
I want to see in the back. What are you doing?
But see, that's what I'm saying.
This is the
So
format. Yeah.
that's why I think I mean, and this is just my thoughts on this, right? So
Yeah,
don't
yeah, yeah. Go
it
ahead.
holds no consequence.
Sure.
Um, but it's just to do what you want to do. And I mean, if these other things happen, right? I mean, great, right? If you can get, paid to do it, or find some way for it to develop beyond just you, right? Just yourself. But do what you want, and then it's kind of like the if you're going to go out or something, you want to have fun, you want to do what you want, right? As opposed to what everybody else is like, oh, we got to go, spend $1 bazillion to go see a concert or something. You're like, I don't know if I want to do that. I would rather just go, here, or go talk to people or something like that. And so, yeah, just do what you want. So if you want to develop that, I think that the idea would be to develop it as best that you can, given what you want to, resources you want to put into it, right? And enjoy it, because if you hold out too long, then opportunity passes you by, right? So you have to, because it's kind of like the lottery. You never know what's going to happen, right? And you hope that it's you, but the odds are not with you. Not that I'm saying it won't happen. That sounded really bad. I don't mean it
Yeah,
like
yeah,
that. I'm
yeah.
just saying though, you need to enjoy it, and so enjoy it to the fullest that you can enjoy it. Is my advice, because
Yeah.
it's because you just never know. I mean, you may be out at a bar, ask some woman a crazy question. Next thing you know, you got a baby. So there you go.
Man, that would be crazy. That would be really crazy. That would be really crazy. Would you?
I
What kind
don't
of a
know. I'm
question? What
just
kind of
giving you an example.
would you rather have a drink with me
Or have a baby.
or or have a baby?
Houston, thank you very much for
Wow.
entertaining my, goofy questions. Because we're almost going past the sweet spot here. We just talked about that. So I think we'll wrap it up. So tell people, I mean, obviously I got it on the screen if you're watching, but tell people where they can find you and why they should find you.
Cool. Yeah. No. Awesome. Thanks. First off, thanks for even having me on. This was cool. And go to 1000crazyquestions.com, or better yet, to reach me like faster, go to 1000 Crazy Questions on Instagram. It's the number 1000, so 1000 Crazy Questions on Instagram, and that's the best place to reach out because messages actually go through. My I'm working on my website to find a better way to kind of talk to people because there's a comments are not working and I don't know how to fix it really, so I gotta fix that. But oh snap! There it is. Look at that. It's on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Instagram account is that's the best one to go to, and yeah, I'm gonna be making more social media ties to other things pretty soon. I plan to get into a visual part of my podcast pretty soon, and yeah, it's just gonna keep growing. And yeah, check it out if you like crazy would you rather questions.
There you
Yeah,
go, everybody. Check it out and see where you fall on the crazy spectrum. Till next time.
nice.